Today on review we are looking at Disney Pixar Brave for the Xbox 360, but you can also get this over on the PlayStation 3, Wii, and pretty much everywhere since it's a Disney game. Well, the story of Brave is pretty much fairly similar to the movie, but don't exactly start out in the same way. The game pretty much start out with your mother who have been turned into a belle, escaping the kingdom, and you going after her. And then throughout the game you will actually get little flashbacks here and there letting you know how did it come to be and what happened to your family and so on. But the story is fairly basic. It gets the point kind of across if you have never watched the movie. And in return, I don't think we give anything away overall. But the gameplay of Brave is mainly made up as a top-down style dual-stick shooter with a little bit of basic puzzling and combat thrown in there with some leveling system also on top of all of this. So, as you be going through the game, you're going to be gaining the elemental powers, which in return you will end up fighting enemies that seem to have a weakness to said element. And the game is pretty much made up of you switching between your magical spell to defeat enemies as quickly as possible to get money, and in return with the money you can end up buying one of the many upgrades in the game. And then when you are not doing that, you're of course doing the platforming. The only real bad thing about the platforming is that the way the camera angle is set up, it's quite difficult to actually see where you're jumping, and in many cases you just gotta look to see if your shadow is actually on the platform or not to know if you can actually make it. But outside of combat, you also have a little puzzle section with of course your little brothers who have also been turned into bells, and the puzzles are pretty much made to just break up the repetitiveness of the game of doing nothing but fighting and jumping. But the puzzles are not exactly the most challenging thing. It usually try to get one of your little brothers from point A to point B by switching in between all three of them to pull switches, knobs, and move things to help to get to the end of pretty much the puzzle area to open the door for the main character. These, like I said, not very challenging, but they do bring a nice little attraction within the story overall. But Brave do have some problems though. Outside the platforming not being exactly spot on would be the leveling system. The leveling system is nice in theory, with multiple items you can buy and equip, but in the end it doesn't exactly feel like it really accomplishes anything outside of a handful of ability. Cause if you play this game on pretty much any setting, you're pretty much killing everything in 1 to 2 hits. So it's not really much challenge there. But if you're playing this on the hardest setting possible, which is needed if you want to 100% the game, you will be running into a certain segment where you will go from killing things in 3 hits to just being stuck in a room and dying over and over again. And many of the bosses in this is mainly made up of just finding an area on the map where they cannot hit you and just keep firing. Since you die fairly quickly on the harder setting. But on the lower setting, is no problem really at all. And the game is playable. It is fun, but it is just a little bit repetitive. But I get that it's effective from a kid game. So overall, I give Brave for the Xbox 360 a 3 out of 5.
There's just too many of them.